Hey everyone, this is Jessie, Philly Board Vice Chair. I just want to welcome everybody. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute, and we have some other board members on here. Board members, do you want to just say hello real quick while we have a minute before we
Yep,
start? Just unmute yourselves or um,
I can start. Hey, this is Shubham here. I work as a product researcher with QVC, and I work with Felica as the sponsorship coordinator.
Hi,
Megan, you gonna?
oh, sorry.
Sure, I can go. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan. I'm currently working in UX research operations at Answer Lab, and I'm with Philly Kai as the board secretary. Thanks for coming tonight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I'm the mentorship and volunteer coordinator with Philly Kai, and I currently work as a product analyst at Urban. And yeah, I'm super excited for tonight's event.
I'm Jessie. I just introduced myself, but I'll do it again. I am Philly Kai Board Vice Chair, and I'm currently a student at Design Lab. And we're just at the 6:05 mark, so I think we can get started.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So welcome everyone who just joined. I'm super excited for the event tonight. So our event's called Make It Count Your First UX Role. And so we designed this event kind of for entry-level UXers, whether a researcher, designer, developer. And yeah, we're super excited to hear from an awesome panel. All right, so this is a little bit of tonight's agenda. So icebreakers will probably be like 6:05 to 6:15. So we will be sending everyone to breakout rooms, and I'll pop in and send a fig jam where everyone can do an icebreaker activity. Then we'll go on to welcome introductions, the panel and Q&A session, and then we'll do raffle winners and a wrap up. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and start sending you guys to breakout rooms. All right, and so yeah, I'll go ahead and open those rooms, and you should be getting a message in just a few seconds. Or not. Let me get into this real quick. Okay.
Hey everybody, this is Jessie. I don't know if you can see it at the top of your screen, but it looks like we're just going to be assigned the breakout rooms. So just sit tight while Hannah takes care of that.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to manually assign these. So if you're not already in a room, you should be joining one very soon. Was not expecting that to happen, but it's okay. All right. Okay.
Hi. Hi, Jesse. I was in a breakout room, then I lost power in my internet, and the power is back. At least I signed in through my phone, but I lost my breakout room assignment.
Okay, let me get Hannah back on it because it looks
I
like
think, can you send me to a room?
yes, let me figure out how to do that.
Oh, okay, no problem. If not, I'll just hang out here until we're back. It's all okay.
Hi, Jesse. Me too. Me as well.
Hey, okay, yeah, I know I just promised you were gonna be assigned. You got left
Oh.
behind, but I'm gonna and then
Awesome.
Hannah assigned. I'm gonna let her know there's some folks in the waiting room.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'll go ahead and assign you to breakout rooms. We just got started, so I will send you over here.
Thank you.
Hey, I will
Hi.
go. Hi, I'm trying to assign you to a room, but you're not showing up on my participants. Let's see.
That's so weird.
Let's see.
Do you want me to try rejoin?
Yeah, sorry about that. Do you mind I had to like add them manually, so it's like a little tricky, but yeah, try to rejoin and I can add you. Thank you.
Hello. Yep.
Hey, awesome. Assigned to room 3.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let me know. Did you get a notification?
I did. Yeah. I'll go into it now.
All right, see you.
See you.
Hi, Ren. We're in Icebreaker breakout rooms right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and assign you to a room. And yeah, I sent over a fig jam for you to work on.
Thank you. Sorry to be late. I just got out of another meeting.
No worries, you're totally fine. See you soon.
Thanks.
Hi, Andre. We are now in breakout rooms for Icebreaker, so I'm gonna go ahead and assign you to a room, and you should get an invite to join that room in a few seconds. Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to everyone who is joining the main room again. Hey, awesome. I think the majority of us are back here. I hope you had a fun time doing the icebreaker. I'm very much Team Wawa forever. But also no disrespect to anyone who chose sheets. I get it too. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our quick presentation. We're gonna do a little welcome and introduction of Philly Kai. Okay, so who we are. So Philly Kai, so we're an interdisciplinary group. We are actually the ACM SIG-Chi chapter Philadelphia. So SIG-Chi stands for Special Interest Group in Computer-Human Interaction. We focus a lot on UX, and yeah, so our goal is to kind of like strengthen the UX community here in Philly, whether you're a novice or expert, whether you're UX researcher, developer, designer, through our educational programming and our networking opportunities. On the right, you can see our board. Feel free to add us on LinkedIn or say hi if you see us around. But yeah, we dedicate our work to a culture of knowledge sharing and community building. Yeah, so we support a safe and positive environment. So if you see any like unacceptable behavior today, please notify one of us. But yeah. Yes, Sheets is definitely like Western PA. I remember I was taking a train out to Harrisburg. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a Sheets. I've never seen one. Okay. So moving on. I would like to thank our sponsors for today. So thank you to Bentley and Rosenfeld Media. And we'll actually be doing a raffle giveaway with a few of the Rosenfeld books. And so yeah, stay tuned for that at the end of today's event. All right, and so now I would like to introduce our awesome panelists today. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who signed up to be a panelist. We're super excited to have you today, and we're so excited to hear your thoughts and your experiences as a young UX professional here in Philly. So yeah, Anna, if you wanted to go first, and we can kind of go from left to right.
Sure, sounds great. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. This is my first Philly Kai event, but I'm no stranger to it. Casey, Megan, and I used to work together, so I'm very familiar with the mission. I'm currently a UX researcher at Chatham Financial, and I transitioned from intern to full-time about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago in August. Very exciting. But I just love it so much. I work on commercial real estate software products that we're, trying to make debt and derivative information better and management there for our commercial real estate clients. I work very closely with our product partners, very closely with designers, and I'm just excited to be here and share my experience, and always happy to answer questions and connect offline too.
Awesome, thanks, Anna. All right, Tushar.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be here. I'm Tushar. I work as a product designer at URBN. I graduated from Drexel last year, and right after that, I started my job at Urban. So I was also an intern before, a co-op, and then I moved to a full-time position. Yeah, and I work in purchase team, so which is mostly everything you'll see at Urban Outfitters or Anthropologie after you add to cart up to the point you pay. So all those things. Yeah, super excited to be here.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Tushar. Dwani.
Hi everyone. Just like Anna, this is my first Philly Kai event, but I have been part of the community since I moved to Philly at Thomas Jefferson University. I graduated from Jefferson and I now work for Jefferson University Hospitals. My role title is a very non-traditional one as a project manager, but I work with digital initiatives and strategic partnerships. I closely work with the healthcare professionals in training, as well as healthcare professionals working at the hospital and the health systems. My focus area mostly is in the immersive learning solutions right now for the academic and the health systems. I am very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Johnny. Rixandra?
Hi, I'm Rixandra. I'm a UX designer and developer at Comcast. My background is mainly in that I started my college career doing software engineering, and then my last 2 years of college, I took mainly UX classes. So before my current role, I did software engineering. This is my first UX role. At Comcast, I work on internal tools to support cable and entertainment, and I am the only designer on my team. So I'm a little, hoping to give some advice to solo designers.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, and so we'll just go ahead and dive right into our first question. So yeah, this is very much so discussion style, so feel free to bounce off each other's points or feel free to interrupt. Yeah, it's super unstructured. But yeah, and also I would like to say to the audience, if you have any questions you would like to ask our panelists, feel free to pop them in the Zoom chat right now. Or throughout the event, and about halfway through, we will be selecting a few questions from the chat to answer. So yeah, feel free to write anything you'd like, any questions you'd like in the chat. All right, so moving on to the first question. So our first question for today is, how can you best set yourself up to create a case study for your internship and entry-level role? So I think what inspired this question was that a lot of the times, like when we have our first UX internship or UX project, there's kind of that challenge of I want to focus on my project, but also I realized I want to build out my case study to add to my portfolio, and that's a huge part of the application process. So I guess the question is this, and also what is your process for keeping your case study in mind?
I can start. So as I mentioned, mine is a very non-traditional role with the industry standards. And I also had a very non-traditional route into getting my first role. I did not land an internship while I was in my grad school. So what I started looking around was for problems in the university system that I could tackle and add on to my portfolio and showcase it as an asset to my problem-solving skills. So things around me included a small ISNT help desk ticketing solution that worked out not great in terms of helping out all the users. So it was more around the structuring of service design or a service redesign. So that's what I started out with. And looking for opportunities around me in the university ecosystem was very beneficial to not get disheartened, to not land an internship during the peak COVID era. So that's something that I have also carried through into my portfolio refresh after I also landed my first role. So working the problems around has been very helpful and instrumental to look for more opportunities as well. It's not something that you have to keep on creating new designs and new solutions, but something that you can also work on the current and existing solution also is a great, remarkable quality that you can showcase in potential interviews or networking events where you can share that, yes, I was working on an on-campus project or an on-campus job, and this is what I saw around me, and that's how I started out my journey as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Dwani. Any thoughts from our other panelists?
I can answer the way I feel about this question too. I think an internship is a really special occurrence for a case study because you have a start and you have an end. And it's not like a career where, you know, I've worked on so many projects where I start and then I stop and then I start and then I stop and things get reprioritized. You're an intern and the company that you're working for has a specific job for you to do during your internship. And if they don't, you're going to find one to do. So I think it's a really great opportunity to build a case study off of because you have that problem definition, you have that background time, and then you get to work through the entire summer, the entire internship, just understanding the problem, outlining it, working on solutions there. So my advice would be take the project and run with it, whatever you're given. Take notes at every single step of the process, how you feel about it, what information you were given, what information you weren't given, and understand really why you're working on these things. Why is this your project? What is it going to impact in the future? After your internship is over, how might your team use it to inform the decisions that they make in the future? And just really reflect after every stage you go through, and then you'll just have an entire case study laid out. I really think an internship is a perfect opportunity for a case study because it is so defined with a start and a finish. There's a beginning and there's an end. So it's a great opportunity for a case study, and it's just important to take notes every step of the way and reflect and really digest what you're working on and why you're working on it.
I wanted to build off of what Anna was saying because one of the most valuable pieces of advice that I got from my first mentor before I even got a job was to just keep like a big file where you just jot down like everything you worked on, like every feature, like this quarter I did this, these were the constraints, this is the result. Because when it does come time to, you know, put a case study together, it's better to have too much and like a whole lot of information that you can like pick from and, you know, really polish up rather than, you know, trying to, you know, come up with something on the top of your head about something that you might have done 5 months ago. So I think that was really valuable. And I take that even today at my role. I'd like just jot down everything because even not for like, you know, getting a new job, just for being able to advocate for yourself if you want like a promotion or something, to always, you know, have a list of everything that you've done and accomplished.
Yeah, I can also add to what everyone else said. I think taking down notes and like knowing each process is really good. Also knowing like why are you taking certain steps, like why did you do this? Why did you do that? Noting that down is really helpful. Something that I did was that I had weekly tasks that I had to do. And at the end, I just created a huge PDF of all the weekly tasks I did, and then the notes that were supporting those weekly tasks. I think the most important thing for me when creating a case study out of my internship was the impact. I think having a internship really puts you in a stage where you're working in a real company. They're doing something that goes out to the customers, and then they can like see if they like it or not and what is the impact. I feel if you do school projects, you don't necessarily get that opportunity to note down impact and share it. But this is number one thing that the hiring managers look for is impact. So you can use that from your internship and use it in your case study.
Yeah, I also want to add on a last point regarding the impact. It's sometimes numbers get very overwhelming that you either created a smaller impact or a big kind of a intervention in the system that you were working with. But that is crucial. That's the real why that you were given this task or you worked on. It was chaotic at the beginning, or as Anna said, like a definitive end goal was kept in mind, but the entire process is still what matters. So the story you tell with the cues, with all that you started out with, the daily tasks that you achieved, were not able to achieve, what were the challenges, everything has a story attached to it. So that in the end really shapes up your case study. And as always, we keep on refining and working over our case studies. It's a forever process. But documenting each and everything with the impact is really what matters to that, you know, creating that punch with the story in your case study.
Thank you. Yeah, those are all really great points. Not to be cliche, but it's not always about the destination, but the journey. So you can have like a really great and like visually appealing final project, but I do agree that like having, your justifications, your design justifications, your process, and kind of like your thoughts along the way is really important for your case study, for sure. Awesome. All right, so moving on to the next question. So this was kind of like a thought share from a community member, but was early in their role. So I've never collaborated with developers before. So like, what are some tips for cross-team collaboration, or like, do you even collaborate with developers in your current role, and kind of like, what is your process like for communicating, with like between designers and developers?
I can go first on that. As someone who was a developer before and who currently works on a team of like mostly developers, I think meeting them like halfway and understanding their job helps a lot. I think very often like a team or a company has like a lot of moving parts, and we tend to get siloed in like our own world and what we do. So I think understanding what each of us does brings a lot of value to you as a designer. Specifically for me, when I design something, I try to keep my team and my developers in like the loop a lot of times, because I will make something that I like wouldn't know has data limitations or like tech limitations, and I'll end up wasting my time or other people's time building a product that we might not be able to implement, or a feature that we may not be able to implement. And just involving my coworkers in a lot of the design process helps a lot, because each one of them kind of specializes in a different skill that can help me. So yeah, so that's what I think.
I'll just piggyback off of that with a quick sentiment. I think something that's really important when you're collaborating in general is just helping the individual understand how your work is going to impact their work. Because nobody just wants to listen to, a random presentation, a random thought. They want to know what the action is going to be behind it, and they want to know how they're going to be impacted. So just any way you can help them understand, hey, I'm doing this. Let's maybe work together to figure out how you might use this as well.
Yeah, just adding to that, something I learned last year, I think, is that the job of a designer is to make their coworkers succeed. So let's say if I'm a product designer, my job is to make my product manager succeed, and his job is to make me succeed. And similarly, my job is also to make my developers succeed and their job, yeah, vice versa. So just thinking about like when we are collaborating with them, how can we set them up for success? And that can also look like, having an early touch point with them. I was thinking about this question and I was like, I wonder like, if you can do some sort of course that is like web development for designers, but like there's so many different technologies out there that there's always going to be more and more stuff that you can learn about and still lag behind in understanding the developer. So having like early touch points, understanding like what are they looking for, what is their general cadence, how do they love to communicate, like all those things like are really helpful in just like collaborating with them. And I think like something I'm learning in my role is that I think someone was mentioning is that there are limitations to your own system. So understanding those limitations and noting them down. So if your developer tells you, we can't do it, and you come back 2 months later, be like, can we do it again? Be like, no, I told you can't do it. So just like noting those things down are super helpful, so that next time when you come up with a project or a design, you know that this is my limitation, this is my constraint. I've designed it in a way that sets me up for success, sets my developer for success. So those are some tips.
Just adding on to it, it's true, collaboration in true sense is more or much like maintaining a relationship. You are building a relationship, but you're also maintaining it for everyone's success. So it's more like I do not understand the language completely, but I'll at least have the literacy of what is happening on their end. So when I hand off some work to the developer or to another team that I am collaborating with, I would set up touch points, follow-up meetings, as well as just make sure that they are understanding my workflow as well as I'm getting their workflow. So we do not have that clash or friction where, as Tushar mentioned, that, no, we cannot do this, but after 2 weeks you come back and you are like, oh, let's just circle back and try that one more time. So again, it's more so in terms of keeping people into that path of trust, as also bringing their expertise to shine along with yours on the table, because everyone is going to bring something to the table and you are collaborating for the company's or the product success. So that's one thing that I learned from my first project early on, where I was working with multiple stakeholders, and at the end we were going to work with the developers, but bringing the developers midway into the project and letting them know that this is what we have done so far. So you're not going to surprise or jump scare them a year later, letting them know that, hey, we came up with this fancy tool. Now can you develop it and integrate into the health system? So that was something that I really appreciated my manager allowing me to take lead on and work with the team midway from the project itself, even though we had them at the later phase of the project. So yeah, building that relationship has really helped me now to bring that to different projects as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's so important to involve your team like throughout the whole like iterative process, and kind of like keeping everyone updated, and also like attending to their questions, and also like trying to learn their perspective is super important. Okay, cool. And we'll move on to the next question. All right, so this next question kind of surrounds networking. So I feel like this is a very relevant question. So me and Tushar work at the same company, but there are so many people in our tech department. And oftentimes I'll find myself like working on projects like with my team that intersect with like the other parts of the tech department, like that Tushar is in. So I'm just like, I really want to network with like other people in my company. And yeah, so the question is like, how do I network with other people, and how do I create long-lasting relationships with the different stakeholders I meet? So this could be applicable to either internships or like your full-time role.
I can jump in on this one. I think networking just first starts with a genuine interest in somebody. So first of all, introducing yourself. I think that's something that, some people kind of jump the gun on. Having somebody else introduce you is a great avenue too. But really just getting interested in somebody, asking somebody how their drive to the office was is a great start. What are they doing tonight? Just making small talk. And then when it comes to working with people, how creating those long, oh my gosh, I can't speak. How do you create those long-lasting relationships with stakeholders? It's about your work, and it's about your credibility, and it's about building trust. If you don't have trust with the stakeholders that you work with, they're not going to go singing your praises to other stakeholders. So being able to showcase your value and showcase your work and say, I did this, let's take action on it, and that action gets taken, that's how you build that trust and build that community in your company and in all of your relationships with your stakeholders. So you just have to make them care about the work being done, and you have to again show how this impacts their work as well. And then it just can't hurt to be a little bit friendly. I really think that we can all stand to smile a little bit more and ask people a little more personal questions about how their kids are doing. How was the soccer tournament? So I think it really is just a mix of personal relationship building and credibility with your work. I think that's a really great way to build those long-lasting relationships at a company.
Yeah, I can also share about this. I feel like this was always a very difficult question for me, because I would be like, I have to go to this person is working at this position, how will I talk to them? And there would be like all sorts of nervousness. But I realized like, no matter what the person is, what the job is, like the job is actually being powered by this human being who goes home, sleeps, wakes up, eats breakfast, lives their life, as like Anna is saying, like asking about their life. I feel like asking questions is a great start, like introducing yourself is a great start. Something that has helped me is like listening when they really say something, like not listening because, hey, I'm so excited, now I'll be adding you on LinkedIn, or, I can reach out to you if you have a job at your company and you can give me a referral. Like more than that, like really listening to this human being who's speaking right now, what are their values, what brought them to this particular role, like, what excites them and motivates them. I feel like those are some things that have helped me to kind of get to know people, like, spend time with them outside work and truly enjoy like being with them rather than just being like, I'm with this person and they're going to help me in the future. So getting out of that mindset a little bit and just truly connecting with a person.
Yeah, listening and building trust are two of the most important pillars of sustaining the stakeholder relationship that you have. It's not only going to impact how you are working with them or what sort of task or work you are doing with them or for them, but also it will show how you create empathy for the users, but also you are having that same capacity of empathy for your stakeholders. You are not just in for the process for the sake of building out these tasks that you were given, but also you are genuinely curious about, okay, how is this helping you out? Am I going in the right direction? If not, let me channel in and ask more about the background and the backstory. And that has also helped me with networking as well. I have always heard of this, that, it's easy for me to network with people because I am easy to talk to and talk with, but it's genuine curiosity that helps me and makes me at ease when I'm at networking events. Like at Filikai, I have been at all the events in the past like 4 years now. But it's the genuine curiosity for what the other person is doing in this field. What is their story? Why are they here? What made them work on this particular project? Or even the most basic factor of life, like what is their favorite sitcom or current favorite team that they support. That is like kind of my small talk icebreaker when I meet people. So it feels like more like a coffee chat, or you are meeting a new friend or an old friend back after a long time. But that has also transitioned into my current workplace as well, where I have a couple of managers who are all big Eagles fan, but they are also watching and following Formula One series. So we have something to talk about, connect with, and then we also circle back to, okay, this is what we were meaning to work today. But yeah, that sort of humanizes you as well as them, and you are not just, as I mentioned, doing it for the sake of doing it.
I think we all have the same response to this question, which is a good thing. But yeah, in my opinion, the best kind of networking comes from not even having networking in mind, but just a genuine interaction with someone. And I think that kind of shows, and it makes you kind of a little more memorable, like on a human level. Like this isn't just work, but this can be someone that makes the office a bit brighter, or someone I could talk to about silly things. And then meeting so many people and making a good impression, and even just advertising yourself and what you do puts you in a position where if someone needs your skill set and expertise, you're at the front of their mind. They're like, oh yeah, like Roxandra did say she's a designer and my team needs this. So, or, any opportunities or stuff like that. But personally for me, what has helped is just, I meet most of the people through like happy hours or like events that my companies put out. I think like the majority of the opportunities I have gotten were because I met people at these events and they have remembered me because I made good conversations with them. And I also like advocated for myself, but also asked them a lot of questions about them and was genuinely interested in what they do and learning about them, so that they would, maybe schedule a follow-up and be like, hey, let me teach you about my org or what I do. And then kind of both mutually benefit from it.
Really great responses. It's very true. Being yourself and authenticity is very important, and wanting to invest in these genuine relationships work. All right, so moving on to our last question before we head to questions from the audience. So that question's going to be, oh, actually, that was our last question. So Jesse, if you wanted to go ahead and maybe share a few questions from the chat that our panelists can answer.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Thanks, panelists. That was really interesting to hear everybody's thoughts. We have a handful of questions. I want to combine a couple because I feel like they're pretty similar, but a few people are asking specifically about what to showcase in a case study, a portfolio, and how to make it unique or stand out, something fresher. So I think the question is, panelists, how would someone, what would interviewees want to see in a fresher UX designer portfolio, and slash, like, what would be the most important thing?
Yeah, I can try to answer that a little bit. That's a really, really big question. I feel when I think about portfolio, first of all, I think there are two things. There's a human being and there's a human being that's creating a portfolio. In your mind, like how you see the world is very unique. I don't think like anybody else sees the world the same way. How you make decisions is very unique. Yeah. So knowing that is a really good start, is that anything you write, anything you do is already going to be unique. Now that comes to the portfolio, how do you make it stand out? How do you make people look at it? So I think like portfolio has two things. There's it shows your hard skills and it shows your soft skills. Now, talking about the hard skills is basically how well does this person know the UX process? How well does this person know how to, create a symmetric portfolio or create something that looks good, the colors, all those like design details. But then there is like also like soft skills. Now, these soft skills are, where does this person think that here was the key decision point? Or where does the person think now they went from here to here? And another thing, like I feel is a combination of both those hard skills and soft skills, is how smooth is your portfolio? Like I would say, like go to your own portfolio and scroll and see how much you actually want to read. Or if you really just keep scrolling through the portfolio, how much did you actually retain? And both of those like things are a combination of soft and hard skills. Hard skills because you highlighted certain things, they caught your eye, you used a lot of images, you broke symmetry from like different like things. So that's like hard skills, but also soft skills is like the things you are actually writing. What are you highlighting? Like, are you understanding that this person, let's say the hiring manager, has to look about hundreds of portfolios? Why would he want to see these details? So the short answer would be like, think about both of those things. If you're going in, go with like confidence that you are a unique person, unique soul. That is going to make something, that's different. And just be confident about your design process. And scannability, I would say, is like top 3 things when it comes to like getting standing out in a crowd. I know like I've seen a lot of portfolios where it's like wireframing and then there's a lot of wires, or the problem and then there's like really like 3 or 4 paragraphs. So trying to like avoid that, like not saying like don't write paragraphs, like of course like if you want to define something, but also understand like if I'm writing something, who's going to read this? What are they actually going to read? How about I highlight that? What do I want to show my portfolio? What are the things you are really proud of in this whole process that you did was different? What was the aha moments? Like highlight that and ultimately like try to see by yourself, by scanning it, like, okay, I noticed this, I noticed this, I noticed this. But this part of my portfolio was really nice and I don't think it's standing out. So how can I make it like stand out? So I think that would be my answer and how I would do it.
Adding on to the uniqueness of finding that balance between hard skills and soft skills, one thing I have learned through my school projects and distinguishing them through the volunteering projects that I did or the full-time project that I'm doing currently was how I'm thinking in terms of systems. Is the project, after the project ends in a hypothetical scenario, am I thinking 5 steps ahead? What is the shelf life? So you think of your portfolio website as an iPhone. Does then iPhone have a shelf life beyond 7 years? If yes, what are the pros and cons for the customer? So you again think about, yes, I have that understanding of not just the framework of the UX process, but I also understand systems that support the UX process and also add on more from these benefits. So thinking about those systems is something that can make you stand out. And it also shows your level in terms of, yeah, this is what I have learned from my internship. And that's how I'm reflecting it now on from like ABC projects. And the projects below show how I matured and evolved as a designer and as a person as well, because you are always learning. And if you're not learning, the buck stops right over there. So that is something I always look into my case studies when I want to refresh them, or even when I have to present a presentation to the executives or the stakeholders. This is something that I always add on to my work, that like when the project stops here, what happens after 3 months, 4 months, or the cycle of 5 years? What's the shelf life? So that's something you can also highlight in your projects.
Something to keep in mind when building a portfolio, I think, is it is becoming increasingly easy to fake good UI. And anybody can push pixels around, anybody can learn how to lay out an interface in Figma, anybody can make a seamless checkout experience. The challenge comes when you enter the business world at the company. They don't care. I mean, they do. They care that you know the process. They care that you have the right, gates in place, but they care about how you can solve their problems. It's challenges with tech stacks. It's stakeholder decisions that aren't getting made fast enough because they don't have the proper insight into the problem. So I think when it comes to building a portfolio, it's really important. And I think Brandon asked this about UX research. As a researcher, the storytelling is the most important part. How you achieved certain successes, how you moved past certain blockers, how you influence stakeholders to make key decisions that were seen in the business impact. And if you can tie it to revenue, that's great. But if you don't have, corporate experience or business experience, and you're looking to show impact on a school project, talk about some challenges that you faced in collaboration. It's all about what you encountered and how you overcame it. So I think the storytelling specifically showcases those soft skills of, this is my problem solving mindset, and this is how I achieved these outcomes. So that's just my personal take on it. I'm not a designer, so I can't speak to any design portfolio comments, but that's what I'll say.
For me, when I applied to jobs, I only had like mostly like school experience. I had not worked as a designer before. And for my portfolio, I chose a whole range of different types of projects. And so when you look at case studies, they kind of all follow like a basic formula, but the way that you get to your solution isn't always the same. So I showcased like some projects I had, in a more collaborative environment with a team. Some things I did freelance, some projects where I worked with, clients abroad. I worked on a video game, just like a whole lot of different projects that kind of showcase that I'm very, multi-dimensional, I guess, it shows that my skills can be applied to all kinds of different, projects and teams and stuff. So that's just one thing for me. And then getting there, I mainly just like tried to research other people's portfolios, which I know is kind of a cop-out answer, but it helped me personally because, you know, there are top designers out there that are the best in what they do. And so like getting inspiration from other people helped me a lot.
Really great points. All right. Next question from the audience. Jesse.
Yeah, so we have a lot of great questions, but one of them got some a bunch of emoji, thumbs up, pointers. So I want to focus on this question next, which is, how do you land a job when you don't already have professional experience or internships?
I kind of already brushed on that in my last response. But yeah, just to repeat, I picked like a whole lot of different projects. There was one time where I took on a freelance project that didn't really even pay me because I thought that, you know, the experience would be good and it would look good on my portfolio. Not to say that you should take, you know, jobs that don't pay you, but I think finding opportunities to like, you know, for projects that can help you build a portfolio, seeking them out, and just applying the, you know, what you learned and how to create a portfolio, how to, you know, go through the whole user journey, research and all of that. I think it is, you know, possible to have a really nice portfolio even without professional experience. I think you can showcase things that are important like collaboration, research, and all that without tying it to a job that you had.
I can also add on to my past comment. I definitely didn't have an internship, and what I seeked out was the collaborative cohort projects that are supported in the course. So I took that elective and we worked with a healthcare startup. So the next semester, the elective was opened up. They were working with a different organization, and that was something I really was very interested in. And I kind of pitched myself for the position of a research project manager, research assistant and project manager for the project. So advocating for yourself in the university ecosystem is really a lesson I learned, which I also carry on now forward in my professional setup. But back until I got my first job with Jefferson, I did not have a proper professional experience to work with a startup or even a design agency. So what I did was completely opposite to what Ruxandra said. I did not create a novelty of experience on my portfolio, but I targeted a very niche experience, which was academic, nonprofit health systems. And this is where I wanted to be because that was all the projects that I had worked on in my design class or design studio or with the research project. And they were all surrounding in this particular universe of subsets. So that really helped me zone and channel that this is what I'm really good at. And within this system, I do bring a lot of experience to work with not only healthcare professionals, but also with research collaborators, supervisors, grant writers, and also donors and stakeholders. So it was kind of showcasing, like, even with a niche, zoomed in space, I have worked enough with multitudes of roles and professionals to understand how the industry works. So that kind of reflected on my portfolio case studies as well as my pitch for getting my full-time job. So that's also something, as an international student, there are not a lot of opportunities, and there are also many people in the pool along with you. So how do you set up yourself for success and also as a unique creative artist? And that's a tough challenge. It's not a difficult one, but it's a tough challenge because you have to navigate so many hoops to get that one internship or a role. So this is something that I have learned, which is to know what you want and also then expand your reach into that particular niche industry or interest area.
Yeah, I can also add to that. I feel like I like this question because I was there at one point. I was thinking that, oh, I don't have any experience. How will I ever get a job? Like, I don't have any internships. But anyone who has a job, there was a time when they didn't have the job, and then they got the job with their school project or with their, personal project. I think like the answer to that, how you land a job, is like two things. Of course, your portfolio, but also like networks. So I'll talk about the portfolio piece first. Ultimately, when we think about like, oh, if I had an internship, it would be better and I would get more chances about it for a job. I think that kind of thinking can kind of like limit you. I feel like ultimately understanding that UX is about solving problems. And when you go and do a internship, you're actually solving problems for someone else, but there's always a problem that you can solve for yourself or somebody or your friend really wished if there was an app. Okay, you don't know how to code, but at least you can make a Figma prototype. Or I think like there are so many now Figma 2 code things now that even you can turn it into a full-fledged app. So I would say like don't limit yourself by thinking like you don't have an internship or you don't have like a job before. So how would you get a new one? Think about like UX as this opportunity to solve problems and really showcase your problem solving skills, whether for your friend or somebody else, if not for a company. The other part is networking. I think it's very crucial. I think one of my professors told me that if let's say 100 jobs are posted, 90 of those jobs are taken by networks. So then you have 10 jobs that are left, and those 10 jobs then get like the rest of the applicants. Now, the success rate for that is like really low. So you only have 10% chance if you don't know any networking person. And again, this comes back to networks. Like, how are you engaging with people? I know like there's like cold emails, blah, 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 but try to meet people in person. Like Philly Kai has all these events that you can go to. There's that, but also like think about like who are the other people you've worked with? Can they connect you with someone they know? Can you guys have just like a coffee chat? So yeah, just keep in mind like portfolio and networks, like work on both of those things, and don't limit yourself by thinking like, oh, I don't have any, just solve a problem that you really enjoy.
Yes.
I don't have anything to add from that. So go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, sorry, Hannah. I do have one thing to add on the networking part. Something that me and my friend from grad school we started doing was be part of the call for designers projects that were out on AIGA, Philly Kai, as well as other organizations like such. So these are all school students, undergrad, grads, freelancers across the world. They have their Slack channels, designed for good. And these projects also do help you in terms of understanding how do you contribute to a project or not a hypothetical scenario, but it's an actual problem out there. And a couple of people are getting together and using their skills to solve this problem. So even having that experience is also a valuable experience that you carry forward in your professional career. So, yeah.
Thank you, Donnie. And yeah, I think echoing all these really great points, like every opportunity is valuable and it's like what you make of it. There's also always opportunities to kind of like reframe your work. So like, for example, I personally did a lot of like research work with Temple University's HCI lab. And even though like academia doesn't really translate into industry very well a lot of times, there's so many like UX skills that I gained from that experience, whether it's like running user studies, stakeholder communication. And so, yeah, it's super helpful to kind of like reflect and understand like what you've learned from each experience, even if it's not necessarily UX in the job title. Okay, Jesse, and the next question from the audience.
Okay, let's see. Are there any online resources that you use to strengthen your skills and made you attractive as an applicant?
I think I wrote a little bit, I wrote the reply to that comment, but I think like the number one skill I learned at one point about UX designers or product designers is communication. So how do you communicate about yourself? How do you communicate your designs? And basically like how do you storytell is the biggest skill according to me. So find as many resources as you can about storytelling, whether it be in person or on paper. And I feel like those resources will really help you. Why on in person? Because a lot of times like your personality truly shines when you go in an interview. So like that is a time when you're storytelling about your project or about yourself. So that's like point A. And then like your project itself, let's say you're not there to explain your project. Can your project tell a story that keeps people engaged and keeps people excited? So storytelling, I would say, is the biggest skill. Lots of videos on YouTube to learn about that.
Adding on to the storytelling, something my industrial design instructor mentioned was there are so many formats and mediums of storytelling around us and part of our life. So don't just restrict yourself to a YouTube tutorial or a boot camp video you have or a grad project part of a course curriculum that you have saved. It's all around you. So what personally I do is something which is very much an addictive thing. I just scroll through a lot of TikToks, Reels, YouTube Shorts, because in the shortest amount of span of time, I'm bombarded with so much information. But everything is different across all the mediums, or it is same across all the blueprints of a particular type of a reel or a TikTok. So that is also a great storytelling medium that you can adopt for showcasing your product UI. You don't want to put up a lot of wireframes or final screens, but you can definitely put up a 5-second short micro interaction and show it on your case study. So this is something that I have carried on with me since that particular day when he mentioned this. And I do find a lot of inspiration in all formats and mediums of storytelling. So it just cannot be restricted to a book or a movie that I watched. It can be also a song that I heard or keep listening to with a particular day or an event. But everything has an ingrained DNA of a story, particularly with respect to that artist or the creative person behind it, the creative genius behind it. So yeah, storytelling works a lot when you have to make numbers cool in corporate and you don't want people to doze off during your presentation and report scenarios. So yeah, storytelling is the number one aspect that you should keep working on and keep learning through different mediums.
Something I'm focusing on with this question is something that made you more attractive as an applicant. And my mind immediately goes to all the certifications you can get, all the Coursera courses you can take. You know, NNG's got their certifications. You can take a boot camp. Those are a dime a dozen. I think it's really accessible for people to build their skills with those types of certifications. And it's great if you have them on your resume when applying. It doesn't hurt, it only helps. But I think something that recruiters and hiring managers are looking for is what Dhwani just said, that you're just continuously learning, because UX is not a static field in the slightest. Like just in the last 6 months, my company has gone through like 2 major changes and everything's changing and I have no idea what's going on. And it's, you just have to keep up to speed with what's happening, what people are saying, all the new tools that people are using. Like Figma was the hot new thing 2 years ago, and now we're already talking about Cursor and Lovable and all these AI tools. And so just showing the recruiters and showing on your resume that you are building those skill sets and you're continuously learning about the industry, about the skills that you need for the job is just going to be so beneficial to you in the long run. Listening to podcasts on your way to work, listening to podcasts on your walk, reading a book. There's so many resources out there, and it's really easy to keep up to date with some of the things going on. So I think less so the certifications on your resume and more so the continuous learning aspect, and really relaying that to the people you're speaking with, because nobody wants to be, uninformed in this new era we're going into. So letting people know that that is a focus of yours is going to be really helpful to you.
Similar to Anna's response, I think just staying like up to date and gaining inspiration from everywhere that you are. No one wants to fall behind. Well, not fall behind, but like I heard an engineer say, like, when you stop learning, you stop growing and you stop getting, promotions, like being remembered, stuff like that. So I think it's just like, for me personally, what Anna said, like listening to podcasts, reading books. I do like doing like courses online because I feel like personally for me, it does help sharpen my skills, especially since like there are always new features added onto Figma and like other things like that. I think one of the questions was that, are there any online resources you use? There was one I wanted to bring up that I personally like to use, and it's this guy on LinkedIn. I don't remember his name. I'll have to find it, but he does like deep dives into designers' Figmas, just kind of seeing like how people, like, I don't know if you guys, I saw Tushar nodding, maybe you've seen it. I like to watch them because then I get to kind of get creativity from other people, like learn, maybe how to organize my files, how to, make them seem more attractive to people, stuff like that. And then besides that, just I think creativity is like a muscle you have to exercise. And I do that a lot outside of work through like various creative interests I have. Like I just signed up for a pottery studio because why not? Like I want to still have passion for like creating things. And I think that to me kind of translates through work from like my everyday life.
Yeah, I have also started DIYing in my new apartment, and this is something that I found my way back to the creative process, because working sometimes in a very corporate setup, you feel like you are doing an iterative process and you some days lose the touch to the creative aspect of the entire process. So something I have started doing is thrifting furniture, bringing it back to my apartment, and trying to go back to my industrial design basics to sand it down. It's a calming activity, but I'm still finding out my way around what colors work, what don't work. And it's the way of keeping myself learning a new process, but still keeping it close to my field that inspires me every day to go to work. So yeah, looking for online resources, I would not say particularly XYZ on LinkedIn or YouTube, but I actually do use TikTok a lot. And I have been called out a lot many times that I kind of pushed some people into getting the app and following a couple of creators, but it really helped me to expand my understanding of the storytelling format. So I still look up new people on TikTok to follow, be it in the interior design or in the UX design, or even just a art gouache creator who are just painting everyday landscapes outside their windows. So that's something that I keep myself up with in the current trends and the processes.
Thank you. Yes, and I feel like Instagram Reels and TikToks can actually be like super educational, especially if you're on that kind of like learning algorithm and it's really catered to your passions and interests. Oh, it looks like Roxandra pasted the profile of the guy you're Awesome. That's super cool. I'll have to check it out. All right. So one more question from the audience.
What is the best way to prepare for your first interviews in UX?
I can jump in on this one. Maybe because I'm a researcher, I actually love interviewing. I think it's so much fun. My best advice for interviews is know what you're going into, do some research on the company, align your potential responses to things you see on their website, how your value as a UXer will enhance their value as a company. Just aligning some of those small details can really make a difference in the way you interview with a company. They'll be like, oh my gosh, they really know what they're talking about. Like, we really need that. So that's something that is beneficial in the early stages. But as a UXer interviewing, again, it's everything we've already said so far, the storytelling, just helping the recruiter, helping the hiring manager, helping the team you're interviewing with understand why you did something, what the impact was, what some challenges you faced were, and then what you reflected on and how you would approach it differently next time. I think everybody is well aware that nothing is perfect right now and probably won't be for a while. And we want to know how you're approaching these bumps in the roads. And we want to know, you ran into this problem collaborating with developers. This was not technically feasible. So you had to go back and you had to fix something, but that wasn't the feedback from the users. So how did you re-research something, or how did you adapt to meet the needs of the users, but also the limitations of the technology? So really just conveying the entire story of the case study you're presenting, the question they asked you about. Everybody talks about the STAR method for responses, but really just showcasing like the impact. People just want to know why you did something and how it impacted the company or you or your team positively. That's my advice for interviewing for UX roles. I can't speak to design challenges. Again, I'm a researcher. I have no visual bone in my body. So in research, it's all about the storytelling and all about the outcomes.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other thoughts on that question?
I would add on to the storytelling aspect, along with adding a story to your pitch or trying to tell them like why they should hire you. Be genuinely proud of what you are presenting, because this is something that defines you, your element on the table, what you are bringing to the company or the agency or any organization. This is who you are. This is why your work matters to you. And this is how you have learned to be part of this amazing framework. So that does not come from just prepping for the interview a week before or a couple of days ago. Practice a lot. Something that I have learned through my interview processes was I would always practice with someone new every time with my pitch deck. So I would get a feedback in terms of what's working, what's not working, and if I need to change or add or edit any elements about the slides that I have as part of my storytelling. And also, you do not need a new project for a different agency or company that you're going to interview with. If you have a pitch deck ready, as Anna mentioned, do your research and homework about who you are interviewing with. Try to add their company's ethics and mission values into your existing case study, and prop yourself in terms of, yes, I understand the UX framework, but I also understand the systems behind this organization. So this is how I can work with collaborators, be it developers or the multiple stakeholders that you might have in the organizational hierarchy, you understand the organization. And that's why you are the best fit for this particular role that you are interviewing for. So that's my one advice, that you should practice as much as you can to be as natural as you can and be proud of your work. The nerves sometimes make us sound a bit repetitive, so it also gives an edge to your pitch, even though you weren't meant to. It's human to sometimes stammer or mispronounce a couple of terminologies. So if you practice a couple of times or for a while, it becomes it's ingrained into you. And I think that's the USP that you can add to your resume.
I can add a quick thing on that. I think practice is super important. When I can just share how I did it. So earlier stages, I used to practice with friends, but I think like now that you guys have maybe some people who are already working in UX, or maybe you know some hiring managers, scheduling a one-on-one with them for a portfolio or a project review would be great. Just like go with them, be like, hey, I made this project, just wanted to run it through you. And basically like run them through the project. Of course, practice before and see like what they say. What are the things that stood out to them? I feel having someone who's already working in UX or research look at your portfolio and give feedback would be super helpful. If let's say you don't find anybody who is working in that field, I would say practice and kind of record yourself when you are talking about the project. Then I think like since there are new tools, what I do is that take a full page shot of your case study and then record yourself. And then post both of those in ChatGPT and ask how good was that presentation based on your voice and based on like the visuals there are. I think ChatGPT would be able to give you a kind of like combined feedback on your visual and how it was supported by what you were saying. And like that is only a scenario when you don't have anybody, but I think like you can still try that. I think it's still very useful. But yeah, practice is the main thing. And if you can get practice with human beings, with hiring managers, that's the best.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Those are all really good points.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really, really great ideas. And I do definitely agree with Dawani's point of having a lot of like pride in your work and like realizing like I really did that, and like that's an awesome thing that I can like present to others, and I really did make an impact. I know like we all have like resumes and portfolios, but I remember like there was this one time I had an interview and I was just feeling very inconfident. I had just been rejected from so many different roles. And then so before the interview, I just kind of like not only looked at my resume, but kind of like did journaling and like talked about like my experiences, like what I gained from each of my internships or projects I worked on. And at the end, like my confidence, just like I just felt like super confident at the end of that. And it really helped me like as I was like preparing for the interview. So yeah, definitely have a lot of pride in your work. And it's okay to feel imposter syndrome. It is such a common feeling, especially in the field of UX. And yeah, it's okay to feel that way. Okay, so thank you so much for sending in your questions in the chat. We're going to go ahead and move on to our final few questions. So I will go ahead and pull those up. All right, so I kind of wanted to prioritize this question because I'm noticing that these are becoming increasingly common in the interview and job application process, which are design challenges or design case studies. So this is when the recruiter kind of like gives you a design challenge to solve, and you kind of have to demonstrate your process and eventually share a final deliverable as a part of your application process for UX roles. So this is something I personally haven't done, but I'm curious to know if any of the panelists have done a design case study for a job before, and if you have any tips around that.
Oh, you can go ahead.
I particularly did not have a design challenge for my current role, but something I did present was how I approached as a systems thinker. Again, emphasizing on how the company's mission values are and how you can prop yourself along with it. So not just diving straight into the UI components of what the company is already building and what are their inclinations or liking towards dark UI or not the dark UI, but also documenting each and every assumption and defining the particular space with the design challenge is something that one should keep in mind, that why you particularly picked out this design decision, or what would you test further if you had more time, or reiterate back after you would have more information about it. So defining the structure and also having to explain your trade-offs as well as the goals for executing each and every decision that you take is really important from my perspective. And also, again, this is the last or the second last part of the interview process. So having in mind that the goal is also to impress the team further, but you also have to be consistent and cohesive with your skill set of you really understand the framework and this is how you execute it. So that's something that I would advise. Yeah.
I was gonna say that I did have a case study to do on the spot. Well, not on the spot, but I was given 2 hours to do it. They presented me the solution, the night before. They told me to only allocate 2 hours to spending on it, so I, stuck to that. And the problem, I won't show what the problem was, but it had nothing to do with the company or anything, which kind of goes to show that they're mostly looking for like your process and your thinking and how you tackle a problem. And so the most important part of the case study is defending your design decision and showing why you designed something the way that you did. With the time limitation that a lot of them give you, sometimes it might be 2 hours overnight, or sometimes it might be in person on the spot. The important thing is time management and knowing how to divide or pace yourself. I think breaking things up into tasks and tackling them one at a time, it starts with understanding the prompt, figure out who your users are, and there's like the research portion and, basically everything you would see in a case study. Obviously, they have your portfolio, they know what your designs will look like. So, as I said, I think that the wireframes themselves aren't as important as the process that you took to get there. If you have time, definitely try to design something, because obviously that's kind of the point. But yeah, I think at the end, another thing that helps me, or that has helped me, is I reflected a lot on what I did, how I got there, presented the data. And then I also reflected on things that I would do differently if I had the chance, or things that I would expand if I had more time. That's just kind of something that has helped me. I felt like when I was presenting my case study at the end, just having the data, backing it up, and presenting something very clearly and concisely.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And we'll move on to our next question, which is likely going to be our last for the night. And it's, if you could redo your internship with your current knowledge, internship or co-op, what would you do? What would you do differently? Yeah.
This is a really great question, and it made me think hard. Something that I would do differently is just more. I would just do more. I would learn more. I would learn more about things that didn't pertain to me, things that I thought I wouldn't need to worry about because it wasn't involved in my intern project. I would have learned about. I didn't design anything as an intern. I was focused on building and creating personas for our design system. But I had partners on my team who went and created persona cards in Figma because I didn't know how to do that. And I would have done that with them. I would have learned everything I can. I would have just been a sponge. I would have learned more about the business. Chatham has an extremely complex business dealing with financial risk management for commercial real estate partners. And I came back into my full-time role and I was like, okay, I guess I really need to, like, I'm so thankful to be here. I guess I really need to learn what we do now. And I would just talk to more people. I would extend my intern project. I would do more outside of it. You know, when you're given a project, there's a start and there's an end. I talked about that earlier. But you can go beyond that. It's not a constraint. It's just the bare minimum. So I would just honestly do more, and that's my advice. Do more than you think you should.
Yeah, I can follow with that. I think I really agree with that. I think towards the end of my internship, I started doing it, but I wish like I had done it earlier. So when you're an intern, you have this thought like, oh, I'm an intern, I'm not much experienced, I have to get here. Like they're gonna give me an intern project and I'm gonna finish it. I feel like definitely think about how you can make an impact beyond that project. Of course, like that project is your thing, but what else can you do? I feel like something that helped me during that time was that coming into this mindset of like, hey, I know these things about UX, and if there are more things, I can learn them. So the framing I gave myself to, if I was a senior designer and this problem was given to me, how would I approach it? What would a senior designer do in the morning? What would the senior designer do while they're drinking their coffee? And if I was a senior designer, would I only be concerned about this project that's right here? No, I would also be concerned about the growth of my fellow designers. If I am concerned, maybe I should think about this new book I'm reading about design and I can share this with them. Or, hey, there's this project. I think I have capacity more than what I'm doing right now, and I can also like do this. I feel like doing this, I don't remember where I got this from, but like doing this shows maturity, not only how you're thinking about your design process, but like other people as well. It shows like you can create impact. And like I feel like there's this always a worry that what if I fail? What if I don't do it? I would say like put that aside, like really take your internship as this place to like experiment and learn things and make impact. And like, yeah, really think about yourself. Like, I feel like this helped me a lot because the normal problems which I would think, oh, let me design this, when I would think it in the frame of what would a senior designer do, I would automatically start thinking, okay, who are my stakeholders? What are the touch points? What is the project management schedule that I'm following? And then there would be a lot more that would flow into the context of a project when I would think this way. Of course, you can think about any other framing that works for you, but definitely, as Anna said, you can do a lot more, create this as an experimental space and create impact.
For me, I really wish that I spoke up more and was more proactive about finding things that I want to do. For my internships, I was a software engineer, and at that point, I did know that I wanted to do UX and be part of that world, but I just hesitated to reach out to people, or like I didn't want to bother people, and I kind of like kept myself in this bubble and making decisions that didn't serve me or benefit me. And I know that this doesn't apply to all internships, but I feel like when you're an intern, I think work is a lot more flexible and that the experience is used more to like serve you. Like once you get to like a full-time job, it's like a little less flexible, you know, you have like very, you know, rigid tasks, you have to serve one team. But when you're an intern, a lot of people are there to help you and, you know, help you figure stuff out. And I just wish that I, you know, put myself out there more and put those feelings aside, like Tushar said, and just went for it. And even if I was bothering people, you know, just go message them. It usually isn't a bother, by the way, to put those fears aside. People tend to like to talk about what they do. So yeah.
For me, I think I would stop chasing the labels for UX designer, product designer, or UX researcher. This is something I learned very recently after I was actually approached to be part of this panel, and I had to also let my manager know. So it was a very interesting conversation that I am a project manager on paper and in the organizational structure, but what exactly would be my industry equivalent if I have to share it out with my peers and cohorts. So we had this conversation where it then came down to, no, I do design strategy, I do design business solution, and I also design the experience that comes out of this for the stakeholders and users we have. So this is the one piece of advice I would go back in time and give myself, is to not chase the labels, but actually look beyond the label. It's the challenge, it's the roles and responsibilities that you carry out in a position or the role that you are given, which kind of is the UX framework. It's the language that you already know. Even though you don't have the literacy of speaking that language in terms of different industries, the work is still the same. You are still solving problems. You are still part of the creative process. So I would definitely follow the challenge, follow the language that mimics out our process, and not limit yourself to, oh, I cannot do this XYZ role because it's not the correct fit for me, as the label does not define it clearly. So yeah, I would tell everyone out there to just, look for the roles beyond the lens of, this is the label that will fit me. It's not the label that you have to fit into. It's the work and the meaning behind it, the impact that you're going to create with this process. So that's one thing I would tell myself, and maybe I would get a couple of internships if I go travel back in time.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Really, really great answers. And so before we head into sharing our raffle winners and closing out tonight's event, I just want to say like a huge thank you to our wonderful panelists for, making the time to do this and sharing their wonderful insights. So big round of applause. So yeah, thank you so much. All right, awesome. So yeah, that was our last question for tonight's event. So moving on to our raffle winners. So these were randomly selected winners, and we collaborated with Rosenfeld Media. So for those who are not familiar, Rosenfeld creates UX and HCI oriented books about design. And so I am happy to share our first winner. So our first book that we'll be giving away, which are ebooks, is the User Experience Team of One, a Research and Design Survival Guide. And so this ebook goes to Janae Hester. So Janae will email you the link to that, so congratulations. And the next book that we will be sharing is Design for Impact, Your Guide to Designing Effective Product Experiments. And the winner for this book is Mahalia Fimovic. I apologize if I pronounce your last name wrong. So congratulations. And our final book we'll be giving away is Playful Design, Creating Game Experiences in Everyday Interfaces. And so our winner for that is Shahaz Udin. So yeah, we will be emailing everyone, all of the winners, the ebooks at the end of this event. And so before we wrap up, I do have a few announcements for Philly Kai. So we do have a mentorship program through Philly Kai, so feel free to check that out at phillykai.org/mentorship. So we have wonderful mid to senior level volunteers who are UX researchers, designers, and strategists who have Calendly's or ADP lists set up and would love to meet with you. So feel free to check out our website to figure out how you can connect with one of these awesome mentors. In addition, we're doing a collaboration with AIGA, which is American Institute of Graphic Arts, Philadelphia chapter. We do this every year, and we will be releasing more information, but for a sneak peek, feel free to follow the link below, which we'll also be sending out after this event. Yeah, and so this is a more like one-on-one structured mentorship program. All right, and another announcement is that this is our final event before we head out for our summer hiatus during the summer. So thank you so much if you've attended previous events this year and for also attending today's event. So feel free to connect with us on Instagram and our website. And we also have a Discord link, which we dropped in the chat. And I can send that out as well after this event. So yeah, thank you so much to Dwani, Anna, Ruxandra, and Tushar for your time today. And thank you so much for everyone for coming to our Philly Kai event. Yeah, I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Thanks, everyone. Bye.